Well, you're gonna see in continuation, look at that, over 180 times over what is allowed, considered as safe on your laptop. Okay, that's a lot. Over 180 times. You're gonna see in continuation a load of other equipment that also was destroyed by this very same individual. Now, I did remind myself what this was all about. Mitya Weber told me under MK Ultra that he's gonna go and he's gonna scratch some kind of coating, do something like this, something that actually prevents electromagnetic radiation. I don't know, from devices, whatever electricity is, and so on. This was the little, it's not little, it's old, but maybe used 2 years altogether since I got one. If compared to as much as I use laptop now. Alright, I tell you what, like 3 years. Sony, that's all there is to it. Yeah, this is my work area here. There's a laptop, and now look what is behind the work area. Folks, this is just a wood, not supposed to beep. You see that? This is what is behind, and I would love to know what exactly is here. All this here, what have they... What is this thing all about that everywhere around me is this? Starting here, the computer is, you know. So what is this here? I mean... So you get it where I work, what kind of workspace this is. So I would love to know what is here inside, what have they created here, what is inside in here. It's not only the monitor that is like this, but what is this area here where I work, what is this? Some kind of electromagnetic cage where you are radiated.
You know, nobody would expect from someone normal to do this stuff like this. This is a terrorism. These are acts of the terrorism, and frankly, I don't know how. Look at this, 25, 22 times more than what actually is allowed radiation on the computer. So I'd love to know, I'd love to have the police look into this matter, see what is inside in here. On the computer, look at that. Totally 27, like 270 times, 260 times of what is allowed, ladies and gentlemen. These are micro Teslas. Over 270 times of what is allowed. You know, this is, if this isn't crazy, what is crazy? Tell me. Almost 280 times, like 280 times of what is allowed when it comes to radiation. 290 times. Only 0.10 is allowed.
Mitya Weber actually suggested me under MK Ultra when I was in the US. They told me under MK Ultra, I remember this very well, that he will play with the coating of electric components on the computer, or in this case, it's a monitor. He did. He told me he would, and he did, because I did open afterwards this monitor, and I have found he actually gestured me on how he's going to even open the tube and stuff like this. Yeah, believe me, I would not get into that stuff, because you would have to be professional to get into that stuff. Not even professionals would dare to get into that stuff. And I did found a cable. I'm going to dedicate videos separate to that stuff, what I have managed to record when I opened this thing. Cable not properly placed back inside, screws were not properly, and so on. He did gesture me, he would this, do this stuff to me, I can tell you that my desktops were completely useless as new desktops. I would have desktops that would run me for maybe 2 weeks, a month like normally, then computers would become totally useless. You would spend about 30 minutes, 1 hour maybe, waiting for the hard drive each time to stop turning itself and stuff like this. He destroyed absolutely everything, whatever he came across, whatever he purchased was destroyed almost simultaneously. Whenever they came to Miami to get me and bring me here, things stopped working, everything was simultaneously destroyed. And inside and under MK Ultra, what he have done and this and that. Crazy subject about the last 7 months that went on. That's basically destruction of my personal property, especially electrical equipment, and heavy use of direct energy weapons, heavy use of microwave, heavy use of X-ray gun, heavy use of acoustic torture, heavy use of ultrasound gun. Who did this type of command to be performed on me? I'm gonna tell you who did this. In 2014, when I was in Ljubljana, when I was hospitalized, totally groundlessly hospitalized and tortured severely in 2012, 2013, 2014, it might have been, I don't know, 2015, altogether it was like 18 months twice. Twice altogether 18 months, okay? I'm gonna tell you who did this. There was an individual that was involved in this MK Ultra, and he assisted Vucic, he assisted Šešelj, these are Chetniks from Serbia. He assisted them together with Tatjana Prokšelj and with the Zoran Muja. And you know who this guy is? This is a #1 guy in Ljubljana, is psychiatric hospital, and his name is BOJAN ZALAR. This is actually director of the psychiatric clinic. This individual enjoyed tormenting me under MK Ultra. This is a psychopath, this individual. This individual had promised me under MK Ultra what he would do. What's interesting about this individual that when I was hospitalized, I was subjected to Zoran Muja practice. He was a psychiatrist who did this stuff. And other psychiatrists, but I don't hold against other psychiatrists because I know under whose command why all this stuff was performed. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to hold the main psychiatrists accountable for that. And do you know who was the one who covered all this stuff and did all this stuff? It was this individual, BOJAN ZALAR. And the last 7 months that I have gone through, it was all done on his behalf because he wanted this way. In 2014, 2015, never ever was any reason to get me hospitalized in the first place because I was not violent, because I have not violated the law. I have done absolutely nothing to go inside of the mental hospital. But in 2015, I think it was, BOJAN ZALAR, before they would release me, you have no idea what kind of mental games these people would play, how crazy that was. I've never spoken about the correspondence between psychiatrists, which I was the one who was forced to walk into the city and get the mails for them and deliver them to psychiatrists and stuff like this, because what they would do is they would actually extort me, they would condition me with complete insanity. They would play with me, suggest to me that it's up to me when I'm going to be released. It's up to me to go to the city to pick up the mail and deliver to them, which they should go and get the mail and stuff like this. From other psychiatrists, you have no idea what kind of sick, demented games that this Slovenian filth played here on behalf of Belgrade and Kremlin, Moscow. And so did this individual in the end have written the opinion about me that I am extremely violent, that I am extremely dangerous, not only for myself, that therefore the individual gestured that I am either suicidal, that I could be a threat to myself, or serious deadly threat to myself, and also a threat to other people. And that's what he meant to my parents and to my neighbors. This is what he have written on his report. Wow. And of course, he also mentioned that I attempt to exterminate Roma people and Serbs. This was this Chetnik Bojan ZALAR, director of this notorious Ljubljana University Clinic, Ljubljana POLJE, mental hospital, mental ward. This is what his stand was against me. All throughout entire hospitalization, me and Bojan ZALAR never even met. Then what he would do is he would use that report to subject me to other psychiatrists and would demand from other psychiatrists to evaluate me and basically see if I am really such a threat to myself and to other people. Other psychiatrists did not found any of that. The lady that, I think there were like two ladies that they looked at me and they said, I believe you, like this. There was really nothing on me that would suggest the stuff this individual have written about. And so then the logical step, next step for this director of this psychiatric hospital, Bojan Lazar, was basically subject me to this type of treatment in complete agreement, of course, with my parents, who were trying to get rid of me already since I was born, pretty much, and my neighbors. And so with everything they have prepared, together with the police, with the local police of Novo Mesto, with the police, with the Slovenian police, then this type of treatment begun. But I also have to mention you that in Hungary, when I went to apply for political asylum, if you remember what happened, how my car disappeared from the lot, free parking lot, and they had destroyed me backpacks in Ukraine, and then what went on in what kind of treatments I have received in the Belarus. So this was a big operation, and Bojan Lazar, against whom I will file absolutely a criminal complaint at the police, at International Criminal Court, in European Court for Human Rights, European Commission for Human Rights, and wherever I can press criminal charges against individual. Believe me, this individual is not going to get rid of me. As long as I will be here, I will work to get him in. So it's going to be either one of the two. That's all I got to say. Individual, whatever he have written on the report about me, basically wanted to obtain some sort of proof, some sort of evidence that what he have written on me about how I am violent, about how dangerous I am, a threat to society and stuff like this, would confirm his diagnosis. This actually how violent this Chetnik, this pro-Serbian Chetnik is. And that's why I say that as long as I will be, I will work only for one thing, and that's basically to get him in. Here is the post about this Slovenian Chetnik, pro-Serbian Chetnik, by the name Bojan ZALAR, director of a mental hospital clinic, a university clinic in Ljubljana. Ljubljana, known also as Ljubljana POLJE. Very bad reputation hospital. Like I said, this is going to be the third individual against whom I will file the criminal complaint. For others, I don't really care about. Those people have foremost complied with this garbage that you see here. This is a BOJAN ZALAR. This is an individual who wanted to have the proof for something that did not exist, for something that he have claimed, something that he have written. This individual basically spit on my name. This individual have insulted me. He insulted my dignity. He tortured physically. He was behind all this stuff. And he was the one, he was a captain, he was the leader of what went on for the last 6 months. He was more dedicated to this stuff even than Serbian Chetniks, psychiatrists like Tatjana Prokšo and Zoran Muja. So this individual, this is the #1 individual that have encouraged my father and the neighbors, basically everybody, to get into this thing. And he had the local police, state police basically behind him. He had Bojan Aubar behind him. That's a state prosecutor who also have dedicated himself to this case on how they are going to prove that there is something wrong with me, that I am violent, and that I am trying to exterminate somebody, something. No proofs, nothing whatsoever, threats, violence, and he is the one already, like I said. Serbs have had Vojislav Šešelj, this individual have had together with Muja, Vučić, 2 Chetniks, Vojislav Šešelj and Vučić. This individual have had these people already in 2002 here. Croats, there was government from Croatia also that knew about this case, became totally horrified, terrified when they saw this garbage literally coming inside of this room. Such is the story about director of University Clinic in Ljubljana, Polje, Chetnik Bojan ZALAR, professor and doctor. Again, this is not against the Serbian people. The idea here is not to push some kind of nonsense, some kind of stupidity against the Serbian people, but is rather to make Serbian people understand what kind of garbage, what kind of trash do we actually have in our countries, and that garbage ranges anywhere from the politicians all the way to the police departments and even scum like you see here inside of the psychiatric hospitals. Miroslav Berger was obsessed with idea of psychiatry, manipulation through psychiatry, through MKUltra. He became like totally obsessed with it. People, Americans and others, they started to watch him like really with open mouths. I mean, his behavior became like totally violent, and he started to rely on these MKUltra methods, and gesture on how one can basically be used to change perception of what's happening in an individual through MKUltra. Well, the reality is that my perception changed because of the people like Miroslav Berger, and this for worse. Unfortunately, my perception, because of the people from Slovenian side, from Borut Pahor, Miroslav Berger, Vladimir Putin, because of the people that are in bed today with the neo-Nazis, my perception have changed for the worst of the worst that possibly could be in an individual. All right, it is true. I want you to pay attention to this thing here. No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I have just plugged the USB inside a laptop, and the video, basically the video that we have just watched here, stopped playing, volume disappeared. I take this out and the volume is back. I put this inside, the volume is gone. Outside, I don't know. I'm not going to give any comment in respect to this. I have no clue. It's supposed to voice record the stuff. It's like a audio record. It's actually a copy of the little Sony. And so I kind of made an assumption that this Chinese thing could be very next hit for me. And I bet this thing is good. People have a lot of good stuff to say about it. And you can see right here that you can record. You see miscellaneous, a record option, volume, FM, and so on and so forth. And this is precisely what I don't see here whenever I turn this beast on. There you go. This is a voice recorder, TF recorder, FM radio, whatever you want to call this. Is my eBay summary, and the neighbor. It is exactly in the physical state as the neighbor LJUBLJANA have promised me it would be. That's precisely how this thing is. You're going to put this thing inside. You are able to see this is an 8 GB Intensor micro SD card. It is inside. Not too big, not too small. Let's go and turn this thing on. And already from the beginning I see that it's missing an option, fourth option here that's supposed to be record. Basically from what I see here is I see it says system. That would be right here. Let's try to get this thing going. System, FM for the radio, and miscellaneous. Here is what it says, a record button. But this button basically is like as if one does not exist anywhere. That's basically all you get from this recorder, this digital supposedly voice recorder. You don't get anything. You don't have any option. There is nothing. Totally nothing is what it is. Nothing. Useless. Totally useless. As LJUBLJANA have told me, that's going to be good for the radio when you go fishing. So that kind of make me think that item might have been even switched with his item when sold. Might be possible. I don't really have a clue. Or might have been a little bit repaired before I even got one in my hands. That's also very possible. Yeah, item did not come like completely that would be new. And I did record that when I got one, but it was all scratched because I remember it's like scratch. It's like right now basically. And I remember this very well. I did record the fact that it did not even appear new. As a matter of fact, there's like a there you go. You can see like a little things here inside. The item that you have just seen right now was exactly as described by LJUBLJANA, by my neighbor here, who have promised me under MK Ultra that item which I'm going to purchase. Talked about cheapest MP3 player, digital MP3 player recorder. Is the only thing it's going to be is everything is going to be fine radio except one thing. It's not going to serve the purpose of my purchase. In other words, it will not record. You're able to see yourself the item had like a little dent. It was scratched. This item never ever was used by me, not a single time.
Okay, there are belts here, for which I was told under MK Ultra that what they would do is, I just gotta say the way it is. I was told that these belts are actually gonna be switched. This is one thing I was told, and then there was another thing I was told, and that was that belts will be a different model and will actually appear as if used, but will be new. I'm talking about these two belts here.
which, well, when you look at this material, I don't know, let me see, let me make sure that you see what I see here. It's a little bit on the camera, it's a little bit difficult to see, but you could feel plenty of fabric popped out of this belts, which supposedly are nylon belts, and definitely the feel when you feel these things. There are actually even, I have found some stuff like this that is suggesting, let me see that. You can, I'm sure you can see the can you see the fabric here in the side? Here in the side you can see the fabric sticking out and stuff like this. You can see that on on the side. It definitely appears as if this thing would be used stuff, not new. Now this is basically a little bit difficult for me to decide about based on the stuff I was told under MK Ultra. I kind of fear to say stuff, you know, because of all kinds of stuff that they tell you, you know, and this and that. And so to me, this and feels like and looks like used, but yeah, I'm just saying, basically, let's see this thing here. Yeah, this thing here is actually even suggesting that it's even sticking out and stuff like this. Never warned, nor by me, nor by my father, two of them. To me this doesn't look like new. To me this more looks like you would go to the army shop, to the like used shop, and you would get something. Basically, when compared to this belts, these definitely are new belts that I have also purchased. And it's like a totally different kind of story. These belts, however, were used for the last 6 months, and these belts which were used for the last six months appear to be like totally new. Those belts appear to be like totally used. They never were used, nor by me nor by my father or anything like this. My father doesn't even know how to use them. So the difference to me, it's like this feels like totally new nylon, and this here does not feel like new at all. It's totally soft when compared to this here. This is like it's being used already big time. There's another interesting fact about all this, which is suggesting that these belts, the used belts, are actually, if we put this thing like this, all four of them against one another, let's see, much shorter like this. I definitely didn't need them, and shorter, and my father is my size basically, so whose belts are this anyways? Under MK Ultra, I was sadistically suggested that neighbor is even gonna go and is gonna change my belts. You can see this thing here is really not new. You can see this thing is not new. It's actually popping out and stuff like that. This is not new. So I don't know how you would feel about going and buying the stuff like this new from the eBay, and then you would get like crap and clothing and stuff broken, destroyed and things like that. It left a bad taste in my mouth, I can say. Okay, the case with the pens. This pen here, so these are new pens I bought, you know, the whole bunch of them, new pens, brand new pens. I bought them from China because they have this thing that can be used for the Android. Nice, you can type on the Android. Very good quality, good stuff, really good. I cannot say a single bad thing about it, but my neighbor did use this. Let's put it this way. This pen was maybe used to write maybe on, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages maybe. That's all there was. And these pens here, they were not probably used not even for, I would say, 3 sentences. No, literally I'm saying the truth. This one here, I have no idea what he have done to it, but it would be like this. Later on I play with it. I don't want to go into details. I opened the pen and I try to change things. So I wasted time like this. Properly the pen would work like this. It would open like this when you would open one. And instead of that it was like this. You had a really trouble writing with this thing here. Then I did something so at least it sticks more out, but at least you can write with it. I just don't have a time to play with stupidities, let's put it this way. You leave this on your desk, you go to the restroom, or you even pack everything inside of your backpack and you come back and the only thing you have left, let's say, is pen, and make no mistake, that pen was wrecked. This here actually is not really acceptable. I don't know, and I don't have a time with it. This one also is not acceptable. This thing here, yeah, well, let me see. The same thing. The same thing, I would say. Definitely not acceptable. None of these pens, however, work this way. The new pen basically operates like this. If I turn this thing, it looks exactly like this. So when you compare this, it sticks a little out, a little more than pens that you see here. But this little actually makes comfort. You're writing comfortable rather than you know, that you would bug yourself. Also not destroyed. These are 2 pens, and also this one, I think, no, this is also okay. Okay, so this kind of stupidity took a lot of time for me, a lot of unnecessary time, and it can be irritating. It can be irritating. It can go on your nerves when you know, stuff just repeatedly happens. Let me see. Yeah, look at this. As I twist this thing, it goes out and then it falls back inside. This is still very acceptable compared to this stuff here, let's say, like this. You don't want this kind of stuff. You're not buying stuff like this for somebody who thinks it's actually dirty cheap and he can F with. I mean, you're not doing this. You're doing this because so you can have a pen like this for a few years maybe. If you don't write, you can use pen like this maybe, I don't know, maybe even 2-3 years if you don't write a lot. I write mostly on the computer. So it's kind of irritating when, you know, basically like this. And I have more pens, goes to, I don't know, to hell if you like. Okay, I'm gonna put it this way. My entire equipment, everything I have bought ever in my lifetime, and that even included the bicycle that I have downstairs. That bicycle was like semi unscrewed. The parts were actually from the front wheel were unscrewed, and as I go biking, as I used to go biking in 2007, I don't know when I bought, 2007, 2006, I was unbelievably lucky because I would go and I would descend here from the mountain down with this bike, mountain bike, and the mountain bike had Luckily, by coincidence, I have found the front where he holds the tires that was unscrewed. And you know, when I saw that thing, I didn't go on that bike ever again. And bike, anyway.
Don't know exactly how to explain properly this in English, but you know, the fork, and that's where the wheel, the front wheel, is attached to the bike. I don't know what would exactly be if that front wheel would go somewhere else when I was descending down from the hill at speeds that sometimes exceeded even 50 kilometers an hour. 35 miles an hour, let's say. Okay, with a mountain bike like this, I think you're dead, pretty much. I think that nobody in a hospital, they would not get me. They would not place me together. I think if I would crash with that bicycle, if that would happen, I think this would pretty much be it for me. This is reality, folks. In 2007, by coincidence, I have realized that front wheel, basically, in the bicycle was, everything was unscrewed. It was ready to fall down, basically.
That was pretty much it for me, but pretty much what I'm trying to say is that whatever I have purchased, whatever I have brought inside of this room, exception are GPS systems, which I'm not using anyway. Everything else, whether it was for the cameras, computers, whatever it was, it either exploded or it turned into a tool, I'm going to say totally useless tool. And I think that pretty much explains a lot about what went on and what is going on here. What went on in 2006 upon my return from the US, which was nothing else than by psychiatrists' designed plan to drive me insane through employment and issues like this.
In 2006, it was not only the car, my car that was Mazda, made for American market, that was bought in the US, that was no good. It was, nothing was good. My laptop was no good. Everything, clothing was no good. Jackets, if I wear like a nice clothing and stuff like this, was no good. Nothing was good. I was ridiculed. Basically, they laughed at me. What are you wearing yourself like this? Where are you going? And stuff like this. Nothing was good. Not even the US dollars were good. The US dollars, according to Mitya Weber, that's my niece's husband, he called me an idiot repeatedly, dummy, crazy, this and that. Nothing was good. Nothing was good. According to him, the US dollars will disappear, that the euro is going to take over everything. Basically, whatever I did, nothing was good. I knew nothing. I knew nothing. I know something little about the physics. I don't know how much. Actually, definitely cannot compare myself with him in that field. This is what individuals have studied, basically. But I know a little, but according to this guy, I didn't know how to count up to 3. Basically, I was the dumbest thing, and nothing that I had was good. Nothing was good. And whatever I had really was no good because it was destroyed.
The only thing they did is they accelerated this through the most brutal ways, through the use of psychiatry, hospitalizations, and even what I have gone through for the last 6 months. So this is what Slovenia is, and that's why I'm asking and United Nations and European Union to kick one out of its memberships. There is no place within civilized societies for a Kremlin satellite as is Slovenia. There is no place for that.
Yeah, by the way, if you wonder what happened with this wonderful thing, beautiful thing, bought this one I think in 2006 or 2007, a little Hyundai MP3 player, my first MP3 player, nice audio recorder, radio, nice thing. brought that home, used that for 2 months. One time, the only thing I did was I attempted to plug this thing in a charger, not this one, but the original from this one, and the only thing that did is it exploded everything. Exploded in this and everything into my face. That's all there was. I was like, damn, I should have paid maybe a few euros more to buy better. Because I just didn't want to believe that what was happening around me was happening. This is just actually how criminal and how intense that was. And you can read on the blog what went on in 2006, 2007, 2008 here with me in Slovenia. I am going to tell you a little bit more about the so-called unemployment and social care here in Slovenia and all this stuff they have done for me in respect to the free healthcare and free everything. Not only I was paying everything like a tourist here and kept jobless, and the jobs that I have performed, they would not even pay me. They had these people here not too far from here that was like a truck driving company. These people, like 3 weeks I think, I didn't get a single dime paid. And so it was the same thing with other so-called employers. Then what they did is they came up with a bank, new banks, and kind of NKBM, Nova KBM Bank, something like this from Maribor. And so what I did was I believed that I could invest some money in that thing, because whatever they would open here, the company, they would, you could make some money with it. You would invest money in the shares and you would make the money in it. So they opened this company. They placed one in trading, on the trade. As soon as I paid the money, and I invested about, I think, 3,000 or 3,500 euros in the shares of that bank, I think that within the days, all the money was gone. Basically, it went from 3,500 maybe into, I don't know, maybe 10 cents or something like this. Yeah, this was in 2007, and like I said, not even for the car parts that I would pay, pretty much the same thing that US government have done in the US. Whichever stocks I would purchase, it all would go on into zero. But this one here was like exclusive. This is like a new company. You open a new company, a new bank. By the way, that bank still exists. The only thing they did is they opened the one for trade, and I gave them the money, and the money disappeared. That's all there was. I don't know anything about stuff like this, if stuff like this exists, how that's legal and stuff like this. But this was in 2007 in Slovenia.
This is a nice, beautiful cable, let's say. You see, it's a beautiful. I think it was the original cable, or I have no idea. I might have purchased one. It's long. It's beautiful for the Android. From the Android, and if I have to go over, I don't know if I have to go over, if I can just demonstrate you here. You don't see any tongue, you don't see anything really. What you see right there is non-existent, basically. Look, I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna plug this thing inside here, like this, and like this, and I'm just gonna do it like this. That's all I gotta do, like this. It doesn't stand in there. I'm not gonna say when I place one like this in a vertical position that immediately is gonna fall off, but yeah, eventually I don't have to do much for this thing to.
Under MK Ultra, Mitya Weber, my niece's husband, how can I tell you? In this kind of situation, you can even not go and, do the same thing to the person that did stuff that I'm going to mention right now. That's the person who did to me under MK Ultra. Had me drugged up and basically compel me to sit in front of the things, or compel me to look for certain things, and just would go straight into your face and show you, you see this, you see this. Basically like this. Violent, you know, violent, like you see these people didn't mind to even use his hands on me. And when I recall this type of stuff that he suggested, and you know, you see the items, you see the stuff destroyed like this, and you remind yourself of what, you know, individual have stated he will do and stuff like this. And like I said, you are rated by the people that are involved against you as a paranoid, as a schizophrenic, as a violent person, even that you have not committed a single act of violence. There is actually no proof, any kind of indication, anything that these people could use and say, well, there is something, we have the proof that is wrong with this guy. In fact, they go as far as even disallowing you to obtain the second opinion from psychiatrists for what they have believed they're going to use this case, and that's what's good. Basically, it's going to give them through the use of this, basically say, here is the second opinion and stuff like this. Individual totally bullets on discouraging me from even saying the stuff that he destroyed to me, that if I should even say. He went to extreme that he would gesture me on how it depends how much money you pay. Some have this things that are used to attach to the androids, like little tongues that stick inside of the android. Some have smaller, it depends how much money you pay and stuff like this. And those that you pay very cheap very quickly are destroyed and stuff like this, and would want to acknowledge from me how quickly, you know, the question and this and that, this kind of mental games. And it's not that you would want this stuff, it's just really real violence. If you understand what a form of violence, when somebody is just torturing you, I don't know, maybe 24 hours, maybe more straight without a sleep, when you're like drugged up and totally deprived of the sleep, and he is just sadistically exercising, imposing violence on you, basically brainwashing you into garbage that he's going to use in the future against you to somehow prove that something is wrong with you. I mean, this is a scum the world have not seen. That's pretty much what the school was on the cables when it comes to the cables for the androids. I don't have to do anything for things that just fell off, basically destroying me everything. Let's just do it like this. I don't have anything to say in respect to this stuff. Basically, Mitya Weber had an idea, if I properly now understand this genius, he had an idea that together with psychiatrists, with all the terror, with rating me as crazy, as this, as that, I would be actually, you know, totally isolated from society, jobless and all that. I would be actually intimidated so much that I would somehow even maybe believe that the cable that you buy, a brand new cable for the charger for the phone, could maybe possibly be used only maybe twice, 3 times or something like this, and then will be basically already destroyed. This is pretty much the definition of what this individual have believed that I will believe. Or actually, I'm going to be so intimidated, I'm going to be so scared, terrorized, confused from all this stuff that I'm just going to keep quiet, I'm just going to keep silent and comply. This cable
I bought separately as a option to use this for the hard drives. I would use this for the hard drives because the shorter cables, believe it or not, might sound crazy, but the whole bundle of cables, whatever I used, I don't know how, don't ask me why, how, I have no clue. I could not connect hard drives to the laptops, and you would have to play to find the right cable and so on, and you know, the stuff that worked initially stopped working and stuff like this. This cable, however, never ever stopped working, this cable, until one day when I have found this very cable that was, both of the sides like this were bent inside like this. Bent, totally like pushed. You see, you can see here, like pushed inside like this.
Let's just cut to the point. For this thing, Don Nicolens, neighbor Don Nicolens across the street was in charge under MK Ultra, who have exercised exactly the same kind of practice as Mitya Weber did. And what he would do is, he would have cables like this, different kinds of with different kinds of again, I don't know how you say, ports, whatever, which he would bend, and it would be inside of this room, not downstairs, but in upstairs, in this room, under MK Ultra would violently brainwash. What about if I would step? But you could step, and if you would step, how would it look? Would it look like this? Would it look like that? And it's here and there he would suggest that you're not going to step, but I'm going to do it. You're not going to step to it, but I'm going to do it, but you're not going to be able to say anything because, you know, you're not going to be able to prove that I did or did not. So I'm just going to go straight to the issue how it was. So this thing from psychological evaluation was used in a way that it would discourage me from saying anything based on involvement basically of psychiatrists against me, based on what they have done, what they have performed against me inside of the psychiatric world and afterwards. So this was their main idea on how I'm just going to be silent, quiet, and will say nothing. I did not step on a single one cable within the 7 months. And if I would step on one, I would 100% feel that I did step on a cable. I'm using a very soft shoes. I definitely would feel, and again, I'm just not a clumsy individual. I'm just really mentally know what I do. First of all, I do not step, and second of all, when I step, wherever I step, first I acknowledge on what basically is what I step. And if it's not something that I feel that I should just continue with proceeding with applying feet on that surface, I would immediately release and just pull back my feet. I would not proceed with it. Let's just say that I just do the stuff with a lots of feeling. I'm not a clumsy individual or something like this. I guess they have believed that they had the different picture about me back then and how things are gonna be, whatever.
Well, if you would step on one, Novo Mesto police was here under MK Ultra, and they did talk about stuff like this, what you will mention, what you will not mention. However, I believe that if you would step on this thing, well, let's put it this way, I never ever did. And if I would have, because I'm not an elephant, because, let's say, not only the shoes that I'm using are like shoes, like almost like, you can feel almost everything, where you stop, where you step, and so on and so forth. you would absolutely know if you would step on one. I never did because I'm not an elephant. I'm exactly the opposite. I do have a few extra kilos, but my mind is just a little bit more than immaculate. What others would consider as immaculate. It was pushed inside like this. It was like a V all the way down. And yeah, unfortunately I did not record that stuff because I needed something from the hard drive. But I took one of these screws like this, and what I would do is I would, with a screwdriver, I would just go and I would just lift one into this position. The stuff like this, if this was done, this must have been done. If somebody would step on it, he would step like with a hard surface. I would say with a shoe, with something like this here. I don't think if you would step with something like this, this is like totally soft thing. The next thing is you would feel this thing here. If you would step on something like this, I don't even know if you would go and you would bend something like this, but if you would step on it, you would have to step exactly in this area here. Now, what exactly is the probability this would happen to me? Maybe 1 in a million. I'm just saying I didn't do it. The neighbor did it. If this was done with a shoe, if this was actually not squeezed with something else, just like the case was with other stuff. If he did not place this on a hard surface and then with something down, I would say probably most likely the case is. I'm not going to be quiet about absolutely anything. I'm going to go into the police issues, Novo Mesto police station, what kind of role they played, what they told me, how they threatened me, all that stuff. We're going to get into all that stuff.
When it comes to the cables, like the one that you have just seen right now for the hard drives and stuff like that, maybe out of 10 cables I would have one that actually would work, that actually I could use to transfer data between the hard drive and laptop. I don't know. I'm not saying that this is, that he did something, that this is the way it is, but then again, I don't know. I have no idea. Some are short, some are like this, some are like that. They do have the same port, but you just can't transfer anything from hard drive to computer in respect to those cables. Not taking time to do this, but yeah, let's say 10 cables, out of 10 cables, maybe one you can use to transfer the data between computer and hard drives. 9 others would not work. The police want to come here, I can demonstrate those cables. That's a reality.
So this thing here, I would say almost theoretically difficult would happen. If you would step on this thing here, it would be bent somehow. The area here, let's see this, the area beneath would be also impacted, which is not, appears not to be. Most likely this was pushed with some kind of object down like this. Just basically to make me go and do something like this, and maybe, I don't know, somebody would later on suggest me that there was something like this. No, it's here. I don't have a problem discussing anything. I have destroyed during the 6 months time, all through I have so many things with me. I am going to tell you exactly what I destroyed. It's mathematically equals to the number 0, exactly 0 and nothing more than a 0.